ask what's happening?
So you will be going to jail tonight
Whoa,
for
whoa,
DUI,
whoa.
okay?
Whoa.
So based on the assessment that we just did, you are not set to drive and you have more than a few drinks
I
today.
literally had one drink. Wait, I literally had one drink.
January 19th, 2025, Orlando, Florida. A woman drives home from a hookah lounge at 5:30 in the morning with her front wheel on fire and does not notice until another motorist flags her down. Orlando firefighters respond first. Once they clear the scene, Orlando police step in. What started as a vehicle emergency becomes a driving under the influence investigation. The legal question here is not just whether she was drunk. It is whether every step, the detention, the questioning, the field tests, and the arrest was constitutionally sound.
No, I'm worried. I know you're saying don't worry about it, but I'm worried.
When it comes to car fires, that's as cheap as they get right there. All right. So
You say that, but I'm gonna have to pay for it later on. Like,
I know a bunch of people asked her, but like, what happened with your car?
I literally was just driving. The last light was fine. As I got to this light, somebody stopped me and was like, "Hey, your wheel's on fire." So I stopped, and everything else after that. I literally just had it at the mechanic shop because I just got the car like about a month ago, and they were fixing everything. They said everything was fine with the vehicle. I was driving it perfectly fine.
Was like, how do you know how long you were driving? You didn't notice?
It was literally no, like everything was fine. I just started driving it about a week and a half ago. They checked everything at the mechanic shop. They said everything was fine.
How about today? How long were you driving today?
I went to work. I took maybe a 4-hour break in between. Like, not a 4-hour break, but you know, like I wasn't driving it for about 4 hours. Then I drove it. Everything was fine.
Where did you come from?
Right now, I was coming from Dr. Phillips area.
Okay.
Yeah.
Got you.
But I work around that area, so I went to work this morning. I drove it perfectly fine to work. It gave me no issues. Then I drove it after work. I went to the mall, Millennium Mall. It was perfectly fine. And now I was driving back home. I don't know.
Has that happened before with the brakes? Ever?
This is the first time. I don't know. And I imagine I have to get it towed back. That's going to be a whole nother...
Yeah, that you'll be able to drive that car like that right now.
were you able to notice that the vehicle?
It literally just started. No, it just started. I literally took it to the mechanic shop maybe a week ago. They changed the oil. They changed the hood because the hood had some rusting to it. The transmission was new.
But did you smell the fire or anything like that? No?
I did smell it when I was like a light about ago. And then I saw somebody point it out and I was like, okay, let me stop. But I didn't realize it was that bad until they were like, hey, get out of the vehicle. You know, it's going to basically go on fire. I'm sorry. I'm like very annoyed right now.
Is it just with the tire as well, or is it just brakes, you know?
I don't know. They told me everything was fine. And
where was it? Do you remember where the fire was? Because I just got there into the fire.
No, I don't know. They haven't given me a chance to actually check what's going on. They were just like, get out of the vehicle, come back. So I'm trying to see, but it looks like it's with the right tire, like the right front tire.
So it was most likely like the brakes that got on fire.
Could be.
Did it smell like there was no fire on your car?
No, it was literally 15 minutes before all of this, it was driving perfectly fine. Perfectly fine, 100%. And then as I was stopping at every light, I started smelling something. And then when I got to this light, a driver next to me kind of stopped and they got out and they were like, hey, your wheel's on fire, basically. So I was like, okay, let me stop. But I didn't.
We do have some extra questions to ask you, right? But just like every time we do ask people
anything,
we unfortunately have to read Miranda to people.
That's okay.
A lot of people kind of get. Hold on, bro. 1 second, bro. Just give us a minute. Every time we get confused with every time we get
anything that we need to ask people, and then people think that, because I'm getting my rights read, nothing's happening. We just have to ask you questions.
Okay.
But without Miranda, it's kind of like we can't. Okay.
Okay.
So she's gonna read that real quick. Just make sure you tell her you understand every sentence.
Okay.
Every sentence
Just
she's
say
gonna
yes
read.
or no.
Yep.
Yeah. You have the right to remain silent. Do you understand?
Yes.
Anything you say may be used against you in court. Do you understand?
Yes.
Has anyone threatened you or promised you anything to get you to talk to me? And then can we talk about everything that happened today?
Yeah, of course.
So where were you coming from
I was
tonight?
literally coming from like a hookah lounge with my friend. Like we were just having, we were literally smoking hookah. I wasn't drinking or anything. On my way over here is when literally, I would say 5 minutes before I made the light, I started smelling something. And then I kept driving and I started seeing something like the smoke kind of coming out. Then a vehicle next to me stopped me and they were like, hey, basically your wheel is on fire. It shouldn't have been on fire. I literally was at the mechanics 3 days ago maybe, and they said they fixed everything. They said everything was fine with the vehicle to drive it. So I was driving it, and yeah.
Around what time did you say you left the hookah lounge?
Sorry, I'm just trying
That's
to
fine.
confirm. Like 4:30. Yeah, 4:30.
4:30 in the morning. Did you went anywhere else, or did you just
I was literally going straight home.
straight home? Do you
Yeah, I
have a
was
car?
going straight. I live about, let me see, less than 20 minutes. Yeah, I'm 20 minutes away. So I was about 20 minutes away when I made this light.
Okay.
You live 20 minutes away from the hookah lounge?
Yeah,
How many drinks did you have
I had
today?
one.
Just one drink?
Yeah, I literally had one at the beginning. Like I knew I was gonna drive.
What kind of drink was it?
It was a like mixed drink, like a cocktail.
What kind of cocktail? I'm a cocktail person, so I always gotta ask
You're
people.
okay. It was I believe tequila mixed with I believe a dragon fruit kind of drink. But it was literally just one drink. Like I'm pretty responsible about when I come out. I have one drink in the beginning of the night. I drink water in between. You can even ask them. Like I was drinking multiple waters in between.
What time would you say you had that drink?
Probably like 11:30, 12.
11:30?
Yeah,
What time did you get to the hookah lounge?
11 a.m.
11 a.m.
At the hookah lounge, you got there at 11 a.m.?
Yeah, about.
So 11 a.m. till what time you say you left?
Well, 11 p.m. I guess, and then I left about 4 a.m., 4:30.
So you got to the hookah lounge at 11 a.m. or 11 p.m.?
p.m.
What were you before that?
I was at my aunt's. I live with my aunt, so before I go out,
Any drinking before
No.
the hookah lounge?
no, not at all.
Do you take any medication for anything?
No, not at all.
Do you take any other drugs today by any chance?
No.
No.
I am 100% sober. I'm very upset that this is happening right now.
You know, we just have to ask questions.
No,
so
I
just to make
understand.
sure.
I'm just explaining. Like, the car was in perfect condition. I literally just had it at the mechanic shop a few weeks before. Not even like. I'm gonna give you an exact date so you guys understand.
Did you sleep last night? Like yesterday?
Yes, of
Overall,
course.
Good sleep?
Yes.
Did you eat anything yesterday?
Yes.
You also ate pretty good?
Yes, I ate. I slept. All of that.
When was the last time you had something to eat?
About 8 p.m. tonight.
Okay.
Yeah.
What did you have? I'm also.
Okay. I had some rice, beans, chicken. I'm Dominican. I had some rice, beans, and chicken. I make sure that I am properly fed before I go out. Trust me, I am 100% sober, and I am very upset that this is happening right now.
And just to confirm, drinks wise.
So yeah, it was
said-
about 7:40 p.m.
You
Yeah.
said how many drinks we had today?
Just
At the
one.
hookah lounge?
Just one.
And so
Yeah,
hookah?
and I had water. Yeah, I had water after
How many
that.
drinks will it usually take you to start feeling like let's say the dragon fruit with tequila? How many of those will you need to start feeling a little something?
I mean, no offense. I'm a drinker, so usually I drink about 3, 4, and I'll start feeling something. But that's if I'm home.
Like one wouldn't do anything to you.
Yeah, no, not
so
at all.
let's say for like this second, from 1 to 10, 1 being you just woke up, you're fresh as you get, to 10, you're blacked out drunk, falling on the ground.
no.
Where do you think you will be in that scale? 1
Oh
to
no,
10?
I'm 1. I'm
One?
like sober, 100%. 100% sober.
Did you smoke any marijuana today by any chance?
No.
Again, anything that you've already done, I can't really. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Okay.
I was just going out with my friends, and the car was supposed to have been fine. My uncle would never let me drive a vehicle if it was not in good condition.
Did you pay for your drinks or did somebody else pay?
No, I paid for my drink.
Do you have a
Well,
receipt
it was
for
one
your drinks,
drink.
or do you have like a?
I mean,
Did you pay for the hookah or just?
I can show you. My friend was supposed to send me the money on the side. Give me a second.
No problem.
Let me just...
What time did you wake up today?
Oh, I've been up since 6:30 in the morning. I was at work today. I went to work. After work, I went to the mall with my friend. After the mall, I went to go pick up my cousin from her sports. After sports, I went home. I changed, and then that's when we came out.
And which hookah lounge was it that you went to?
It's called Sahara. It's probably like 15 minutes from here.
You've been up since 6 in the morning yesterday?
Yes.
You haven't
No,
slept
not. Well, I guess today. Yeah.
today?
Yeah, today.
Without looking at your clock, what time do you think it is right now? Without looking.
Oh, sorry.
Did you
It's
see it?
about 6 in the morning.
And then you say you left the hookah lounge at what time?
About 4:30, 4-ish.
And you
Like
live
5-ish.
And you
I live about 40 minutes
40
away.
minutes.
It's a drive. And again, the vehicle was in perfectly fine condition before I started driving it.
Alright. So again, just because you've been honest with us, we're talking to you this whole time. Would you be able to do some field sobriety exercises? It's just kind of one of those like
Yeah, that's fine.
fancy looking ones. That way we can know. And listen, once we get through those, we can be like, okay, you know, she's good to go. We can
Listen,
just hitch a
I'm
ride.
100% sober. Whatever you need me to do, I will do. I just...
Yeah,
I
we'll get
don't
those out of the way. That
understand.
way I know you're good to go. And then we can start making some phone calls or Uber. I don't know how we can get you home. We'll figure that out
And I-
together, okay?
I
Can't
guess
drive
I
that,
have...
obviously.
Yeah.
It's,
I'm gonna have to get it towed
it
somewhere.
first of all, it has no tire, right? You've been driving with a rim. So that's what started the fire. So definitely cannot drive.
Okay,
right?
that's fine.
We'll walk to the gas station that way there's more light and less people and less, you know.
We're not on the street, so...
Yeah, that's
so.
One of you guys help us cross? Yeah, I got you.
Can I take a picture of...
You can, yeah.
Wet though.
Take a picture?
Huh?
Can I take a picture?
In a second you will.
Just go...
Let's just get this out of the way first. Let's get your jacket. Is that it over there?
Let's go this way. Let's walk over to the gas station over there, okay? You'll be able to take a picture when we come back.
Start with the detention itself. This was not a traffic stop. Officers arrived at an emergency scene. Under the Fourth Amendment, once firefighters clear the site, officers need independent, reasonable suspicion to shift into a criminal investigation. They had it. Florida Statute 316.193 defines driving under the influence as operating a vehicle while normal faculties are impaired. Driving on a bare metal rim for an extended period without awareness is a behavioral indicator. That is enough to justify investigation. Then comes the Miranda issue. Before asking detailed questions about alcohol, an officer states on camera, and I am paraphrasing, "Without Miranda, we can't really do this." A second officer then reads the rights. The subject waves and keeps talking. The Supreme Court in Berkemer versus McCarty, 1984, held that roadside questioning during a traffic stop is generally non-custodial. Miranda is not automatically triggered. But this was not a quick roadside exchange. It ran well past 20 minutes with escalating investigative focus. That ambiguity matters. Defense counsel could argue the subject was effectively in custody before Miranda was read, which would put pre-warning statements at risk of suppression. In practice, the .166 breath test made that argument moot at trial. The officers then request field sobriety tests. Under Florida law, these are voluntary. The subject agrees. Officers relocate to a gas station, lot better lighting, flatter surface. That matters because the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration requires a reasonably dry, level, non-slippery surface for valid test results. 3 tests were administered. Horizontal gaze nystagmus, walk and turn, 1 leg stand. These are the only 3 tests validated by the National Highway Traffic Safety Administration for detecting alcohol impairment in the field. Horizontal gaze. Nystagmus works like this. Alcohol disrupts the brain's ability to track moving objects smoothly, producing involuntary eye-jerking nystagmus. Officers look for 6 clues across both eyes. 4 or more is a probable cause indicator under National Highway Traffic Safety Administration standards. Walk and turn has 8 clues: breaking stance early, starting before instructed, stopping mid-walk, missing heel-to-toe contact, stepping off the line, raising arms, improper pivot, and wrong step count. 2 or more clues indicates impairment. The subject counted to 10, the instruction was 9. 1 leg stand has 4 clues: swaying, using arms for balance, hopping, and putting the foot down before told. 2 or more is the threshold. Wind conditions were noted on camera, a legitimate environmental factor that defense counsel would have raised during FST testimony. Here is the procedural gap. During walk and turn, the officer read the instructions but did not physically demonstrate the steps. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration recommends demonstration alongside verbal instruction. That deviation is not fatal to probable cause, but it is a point defense attorneys routinely exploit. The subject also mentioned she was wearing heels. National Highway Traffic Safety Administration protocol instructs officers to allow a subject to remove shoes with heels over 2 inches before testing. There is no indication on camera whether that offer was made. Another exploitable gap.
I literally have to get a tow.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh my god.
it has no tire.
You know I'll run.
Got on fire, so.
I'm sorry, I've just been dealing with so much in life.
I get you.
I'm like, this is freaking hard to deal with.
But you're alive. You're good. Okay, you'll get through this. That's all that matters. I got it good.
Oh, and then I have to pay for wherever they're gonna store it, I imagine.
Your insurance takes care of all that.
Are you positive?
100%. Nothing comes out of pocket.
I'm sorry, I've just been paying for so much stuff lately. Like, I paid for the vehicle, pay for insurance, pay for it. I've been paying so much money.
So,
And with my luck, insurance is gonna be like, F you. You have to, I'm sorry, no offense to my language, but with my luck, I already feel it.
I mean, yeah, I just think it's the best would be to get it out like as soon as possible. But
Before.
We're going to the
to the line or
We're gonna go to the line
parking
over
lot.
so me and you will just walk through and So, are you able to see the line?
I'm 100% able to see it.
What color is it?
It's white.
White? Okay, cool.
Yes.
What color are your eyes?
My eyes are brown.
Okay. All right. Do you have any, do you wear glasses? No glasses?
20/20.
Contacts? No?
20/20 vision.
Okay. All right. So she's going to walk you through some of these exercises. If you have any questions, please ask her. Okay. Her job is to make sure that all she reads to you, you fully understand. Okay. So before she says, "Are you ready to start?" If you're not ready, let her know. Okay.
So, first exercise we're gonna do is called. I'm gonna read you the instructions, okay?
Should I take my purse?
You can, yeah.
That way you're more comfortable.
I'll just, yeah, that's fine.
You sure? You can.
Thank you.
Alright. So, put your feet together, hands at your side. You're gonna keep looking, keep your head still, and look back, and follow the stimulus with your eyes only. Okay? You're gonna look at.
Okay, the light.
Yep. Try not to move your head, okay? Okay. Yeah.
Same thing, okay? Follow the light, the light with your eyes only, okay? Not your head.
I'm sorry, it's like getting extra windy.
Going on to the next one.
Thank you, I'm sorry. I'm just like, I felt the wind coming through in between all of that. This is not my type of weather.
So So would you say this is a straight line? Okay. So for the next exercise, you're gonna put your left foot on the line, like so. Then your right foot on the line ahead of your left. Let's start a little bit further, just so the line doesn't finish. All right. So go ahead and
This
get.
is okay here?
Yeah, that's fine.
Like this?
Okay. Keep your hands on your side, and you can begin. You can count out loud.
Oh, one.
Make sure it's heel to toe.
Like
Heel to
this?
toe. Yep. So heel to toe.
We're not gonna walk her through the steps. So
Okay.
so whenever you're ready to start, we're not gonna stop you until you tell us you're done. So do you
So I
understand?
have to count to 10?
So do you need the instructions one more time? That way you can fully understand. Like I told you, our job is to make sure that you understand. Okay.
She
count
said
to 9.
count to
Tell her
9.
the steps again. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
You can restart again.
So basically just walk
Count to 9.
a straight line in 9
Yep,
steps.
and then turn around.
Okay. And then
Fully,
turn
you
around.
fully understand me? You need me to show it to you again.
Okay. Basically count to 9, like steps forward, and then pivot back.
And heel to toe steps.
Okay.
Okay, you can start.
Okay. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and then count to 9 again. 2, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and then 9, 10.
Alright. So for the next exercise, it's gonna be a one leg stand, okay? You're gonna stand with your feet together and your arms at your side, like so. You're gonna maintain the position until told otherwise. When I'll tell you to, I want you to raise one leg, either leg you choose, approximately 6 inches off the ground. Your foot's gonna be pointed out, both legs straight, and look at the elevated foot. You're gonna count out loud in the following manner: 1001, 1002, 1003, and so on until told to stop. You understand the instructions? Just give me 1 second.
Let me know when to start.
Yep. And start.
1001, 1002, 1019.
You can stop. That was the last exercise?
Yeah.
Alright. So do me a favor, you put your hands like this, right? Alright. Put your hands on your back. Put your hands like you're praying. Just like this.
So do you want to tell us anything else about what you may have taken today?
No, I haven't taken anything else. Like 1,000%.
There's something going on. Like, it's not just one alcoholic beverage. Like, there's something else going on that you have put into your body.
I
Right, so-
literally have drank one beverage when I went over there. I've been drinking water in between. You can even call them, like, I literally ordered water in between.
Let's walk over to the car. So, face the car. Do like this.
Can I ask what's happening?
So, you will be going to jail tonight
Whoa,
for
whoa,
DUI,
whoa.
okay?
Whoa.
So, based on the assessment that we just did, you are not safe to drive and you had more than a few drinks
I
today.
literally had one drink. Wait, can I literally had one drink.
1 second. Can you hold it so I can put the seatbelt?
Can I please?
Hold on.
I literally had one
Just step in. Step in.
Can I please, like,
Just step in first and then we can talk. Okay, just give me a second.
Let them do what they gotta do and they'll talk to you in a minute, okay?
I've never been through this process.
Is it way too
Yeah, too loose.
yeah, what I would do is try to thread it.
Yeah, because I was like,
These suck, or you could buy your own.
yeah.
Because these are terrible, and then when you need it, it's gonna flop up.
After the tests, officers determined there is probable cause to arrest. Under Illinois v. Gates, 1983, probable cause is judged by totality of circumstances, not any single factor. 5 in the morning. Alcohol admitted. Vehicle fire without awareness. Field test clues observed. Solid foundation. The arrest itself was textbook. Soft empty hand control. Compliant handcuffing. No elevated force. The Supreme Court in Graham v. Connor, 1989, requires that force be objectively reasonable given the circumstances. A non-resistant subject in handcuffs, this was the lowest tier of the use of force continuum. At the Orange County DUI Testing Center, the subject provided a breath sample. The result, 0.166 blood alcohol concentration. Florida's legal limit is 0.08. She was over twice the limit. She claimed 1 tequila cocktail, consumed at approximately 11:30 at night, with water in between. She left the lounge around 4:30 in the morning. Standard alcohol metabolism eliminates approximately 0.015 blood alcohol concentration per hour. The math does not support a 0.166 reading from a single drink 5 hours prior. Under Florida Statute 316.1932 implied consent, any person driving in Florida has already consented to a breath test upon lawful DUI arrest. She complied. The result was admissible. She was subsequently found guilty in court. Now the grades. Orlando Police Department officers A-. The probable cause development was methodical and legally grounded. De-escalation was genuinely good, calm tone. Transparent communication. No unnecessary pressure throughout a 20-minute encounter. 2 deductions. First, the walk and turn demonstration gap. Second, Miranda timing reading rights, mid-investigation before formal arrest, creates a legally ambiguous window that a skilled defense attorney would have worked. Neither error affected the outcome here, but both are avoidable with tighter protocol adherence. The subject B. She was cooperative throughout, did not resist arrest, and did not escalate. That matters. But she waived Miranda rights and voluntarily answered every question on record. She also agreed to field sobriety tests without knowing the clue thresholds officers were scoring against. Her legal exposure came from her own words and her own test performance. She had the right to remain silent. She had the right to decline field testing. She exercised neither. That is not a criticism of her character. It is a legal observation about decisions that compounded her situation. 3 lessons from this case. First, the transition from a welfare check to a criminal investigation must be anchored in documented reasonable suspicion. Officers here had it. But departments should train officers to verbalize that moment clearly on camera. It protects the arrest downstream. Second, Miranda timing in extended investigative stops is genuinely unsettled law. Berkemer covers brief roadside stops. A 20-minute, multi-stage DUI investigation with escalating focus sits in a gray area. Departments should define a clear threshold for when Miranda becomes mandatory in these scenarios. Third field, sobriety test administration, errors no demonstration. No shoe accommodation offer are the most common suppression arguments in DUI cases. They rarely succeed when the breath test result is this high. But they succeed often enough in borderline cases that sloppy administration costs convictions. For the driver, if your vehicle is on fire, stop immediately. That is obvious. Less obvious if law enforcement begins asking about alcohol consumption during what you think is a welfare check. You are in an investigation. At that point, you have rights, and you do not have to answer. You also do not have to take field sobriety tests in Florida. That refusal can be referenced at trial, but it cannot be used to convict you alone. The calculus changes significantly if you are actually impaired, which a 0.166 blood alcohol concentration confirms she was. The officers here did their jobs professionally and within the law. The subject's breath test result closed every legal gap the defense might have exploited. This case resolved the way it was supposed to resolve, but the procedural gaps it exposed are worth every department reviewing. Let us know what interaction or legal topic you would like discussed next. Thank you for watching. Check out Street Bodycam for more police interaction and courtroom content.